It's been 1 year since Jubilee government took over power and they promised things to the Kenyans. 1 year down the line, have they delivered? Let's now join Terian Chebet, who is with a group of experts to just go through the 1 year of Jubilee in power. Terian.
Thank you very much, Mike. Of course, it marks exactly 1 year since the Jubilee government came into power, and the year has been both challenging and growth-oriented from an economic point of view, despite the glaring opinions, of course, that we have had throughout this week on what pledges have been met and what pledges have not been met. Just a quick preview into the discussion we will be having later with our panel. And of course, Engineer Stanley Kamau, the Director of the Public-Private Partnerships Unit and the Treasury, Martin Mutuku, the General Manager at Kenya Investment Authority, and Bidhamwema Investment Consultant. Thank you so much for joining us. Engineer, let's just start off with you. What's your personal opinion on how the government has performed in the past year, given, of course, that I know that you are in government?
Yes, thank you very much. I am in government, and that's true. The government in the last 1 year has achieved a lot. And I think the most important thing in government is actually laying the foundation for doing business for the private sector. In the last 1 year, we have been able to put up an investment program that we believe moving forward in the next 5-10 years, that this is going to be the basis for which the government is going the private sector is going to invest. In addition, we have created a very conducive environment in the last 1 year. And I think you bear with me that the private sector will be more than willing to invest in this country. And of course, you have heard even in even I saw in the papers that this country is rated as one of the countries that is on the move.
Okay. So, of course, we'll get into the details of that when we come back for the longest segment of the interview. Mutuku, he's talked about creating an investment environment. Do you think your department has done it in the past 1 year?
Yes, Terry, and I think talking overall as a government, basically we've laid down the fundamentals. When you look at the macroeconomic performance, you look at what the government is trying to do in terms of ease of doing business, we've actually laid the fundamentals. And I think what remains now is actually the takeoff. A lot has been done in terms of trying to address the investment climate. A lot has been done in terms of including the youth and women in terms of doing business and becoming investors. And I think that's a big plus for the government in a very short time.
Mbitha, you are an outsider and, of course, an investment consultant who studies the economic environment. What are your quick thoughts about what happened within the past year?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think it's been a brilliant year, and as they've said, a lot of balancing in terms of politics and objectivity, with the government bringing in technocrats to come and assist in the key areas. I think what has been key is just the drive and push towards innovation and technology, which has allowed the government to, over the last year, just bring in the informal sector in terms of the people who are not formally employed into the formal sector, either through mobile phones, either through services that are offered by the mobile phone. So that has been a huge benefit, I think, from my part.
All right. Thank you so much. Of course, we will come back for an in-depth discussion, and we'll be digging out some of the dirt and, of course, engaging our audience on Twitter and on Facebook, as well as our 2442 mobile platform. Of course, tonight marks 1 year since the coming in of the Jubilee government, and we're asking some of the tough questions, breaking down the numbers to find out, has the government delivered on the economic front? Do join us in just a moment for more. Welcome back. You are at the Citizen Business Centre. Now, it is exactly 1 year today since the Jubilee government came into power. Now, we've had a lot about what has and what hasn't been done, but let's have a look at how the economy has responded within the year. And of course, what better way to start than looking at the inflation rate, which of course was at March 2014 was at 4.1%, and looking at March 2014, where we are at currently, it has risen by about 2 percentage points. And of course, this is largely blamed on the impact of the introduction of the VAT Act and to some extent the cost of fuel, which could have also contributed to this. Let's now have a look at the interest rates. Of course, this is averaged from the Central Bank of Kenya. As of February 2013, the lending rate was at 17.84%, which seems to have gone slightly lower now to 17.06%. That's in February this year, largely driven down by Central Bank loosening its monetary policy stance. Let's now have a look at the NSE 20 share index, which is of course considered to be a barometer of the economy. The index rose from 4,133 points. That's in December 2012. Looking at December 2013, the index rose by about 800 points to 4,926.97, largely on the account of improved political stability, as investors shrugged off fears that the ongoing trial of the president and deputy president at the ICC would have an impact on Kenya's economy. We also have some numbers coming through from the exports position. As of December 2012, the exports there 40,152.34, and of December 2013, it had risen to 40,308. Of course, showing that Kenya's exports were on the rise, and as we can see on the imports numbers there, dipped over the same period. Let's look at some of the key sectors within the exports sector. January 2013, tea, the value in millions was at 11 billion. That's 11.3 billion, and seems to have dipped in January to 8,784. The same, of course, was witnessed in the horticulture sector. In December 2012, the value in millions was 9 billion. December 2013, that value came down to 7.18. Perhaps due to a decline in global prices on horticultural produce. Let's look at the energy sector, which is, of course, quite key in exactly trying to analyze how the economy has fared. As of December 2012, consumption in metric tons was at 300 metric tons. December 2013, that seems to have dipped slightly to 289.58. Let's look at local electricity generation. Quite some interesting figures coming out of here as well. February 2013, 606 million kilowatts. In February 2014, it seems to have increased quite a bit to 672.57. New vehicle registration, also quite some interesting numbers coming through. At the end of 2012, there were 173,044 new registrations, and as of 2013, there were 222,178. That's meaning, of course, that about 39,124 new cars were registered in the year, indicating perhaps that more citizens had extra cash in their pockets within the year. Now, the Jubilee administration has had the unique opportunity to usher in the devolved system of government, which many concur to be a game changer for the country's economy. However, it is moves such as the enactment of the VAT Act, as well as the entry of public-private partnerships, that could be cited as major shifts that marked the Jubilee economy. Citizen Business Centre's Bella Genga reviews some of the major changes that came into the fore during the first 12 months of the Jubilee government and what they meant for Kenya's economy.